WVOA 1690. This is the Talk of Chicago. You are listening to Straight Words with Brother Naba'a Richard Muhammad, editor-in-chief of the Final Call newspaper. Brother James G. Muhammad, contributing editor of the Final Call newspaper. Yours truly, Brother BJ. We are here with you every Tuesday night from 9 p.m. until midnight. You can hit us up at 773-591-1690 if you'd like to join our conversation. And go to our website, straightwords.com. Support our program. You have all the donation buttons on our website and our text line. You can talk to Brother Naba'a right now and let him know what kind of level of support you want to give to the show. Text us at 312-480-9775. That is 312-480-9775. All right, Brother Naba'a, Brother James G., we're ready to go deeper into our program tonight. You got a special guest on the line.
Yeah, thank you, Brother BJ. And tell the people how to give one more time, man. I want to give up a little information.
Okay, well, Brother James, man, you're going to tag team this real quick. Go to straightwords.com, straightwords.com, and you got all the information up there that you need. But Brother James, you take it to another level of support.
No, man, I can't take you to another level. I just want to reflect on what we just talked about, brother, being homeless. Now, we're blessed. We're not homeless. But this show needs a home. It needs to stay in its home. So unless we get charity from those brothers and sisters who like to feed those who are in need, well, this program is in need. And we want to stay on, feed us so that we can, by our lives' permission, feed the public. And that's what we're here to do, is to stand on the word of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, stand on the teachings of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, because it is nutrition for our community to be stronger, to survive what's getting ready to come down in this nation. That's my pitch, brother.
Beautiful, bro. Beautiful pitch. I love that. Beautiful pitch. All right, Brother Naba'a, we ready to go.
Yeah, we a couple things, couple of quick announcements. The foodie spot is back. The foodie spot is back. So we're gonna have to update our commercial. But the foodie spot, that's at 7350 South Stony Island Avenue. 7350 South Stony Island Avenue. Of course, that's here in Chicago, right across the street from Mosque Mariam, okay? And the hours are Tuesday through Thursday, 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. Now, the other restaurant owned by Sister Nala, Carnal Muhammad, Let's Eat to Live on 67th Street, is open as well. Did you hear what I said? So you got to dine in at Let's Eat to Live on East 67th Street, and you can walk in, man, and get beautiful, beautiful food from the foodie spot. So I know you've been missing it. 7350 South Stony Island Avenue here in Chicago. Hours are Tuesday through Saturday, 11 a.m. to 8 p.m., and that's right across the street from Mosque Mariam. Then I wanted to refer you to a story. We got a bunch of them, but this one in particular in the final call. We did a show about this, I guess, last week or the previous week, about Carmelo Anthony, who's charged with stabbing a young white man. And Carmelo said that it was in self-defense, and he's an honest student, athlete. He's also out of jail now. At the time this article was published, he was still in jail. But he's out because he had a black judge who reduced his bail. So you know she's been getting all kinds of death threats. And because black people contributed money now. See, this is unity and love in action. Black people contributed money to a GoFundMe. So when the bond was lowered to something that was really fair, he was able to be out. And so we'll keep you updated. But go to finalcall.com or pick up your copy of this week's Final Call. And remember now, stick around. We're going to have Brother Brian on in about an hour talking about global news. But right now, man, we got a brother I'm really glad to have him on because, like I said, this was a subject that just kept coming to my mind. I'm sure, like a lot of you. And this is the unfortunate, tragic death of Caleb Wilson. This is a young man, brothers and sisters. What happened was he was at Southern University, historically black college, university rather, Southern University. And on February 26th, he died at a warehouse in Baton Rouge. This is, of course, in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. 20 years old, from fraternity members of Omega Psi Phi, striking him with blows in the chest. Then a couple days later, Safi Abdel Raouf was suspended by the university. Now, this brother who was suspended he was on the Southern University Marching Band's Facebook page. He was identified as assistant director of band. But a university spokesperson said this brother Abdel Raouf was only a volunteer. But here's the other thing. This brother was also the president of the Lambda Alpha chapter of Omega Psi Phi. That's the graduate chapter that's supposed to oversee the Southern University chapter. I mean, the collegiate chapter, right? So you got the undergraduate chapter on campus. Then you got a graduate chapter that's supposed to guide and direct the undergraduate. So Safi Abdel Raouf, we haven't heard much about why he was suspended, but it's obviously troubling. So in the wake of Caleb Wilson's death, you have 3 young members of Omega Psi Phi who were arrested, and they are charged with criminal felony hazing, and one is also charged with manslaughter. So do we have Brother Shahid Malah on the line?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Assalamu alaikum.
Like flying. How my brothers doing?
Oh, brother, we okay. I'm really glad to have you on. Do we have Brother Jeffrey as well? Because Brother Jeffrey was going to call in. So this incident occurred with Omega Psi Phi in an unsanctioned initiation process. This time it happened to be Omega Psi Phi, brothers and sisters. Mm-hmm. But this problem is way bigger than Omega Psi Phi. Mm-hmm. I'm a member of Kappa Alpha Psi. My chapter, Brother James, Alpha Iota at Morgan State, they just were brought back from suspension from some funny business going on down there. And pretty much the Kappa Alpha Psi, Omega Psi Phi, Phi Beta Sigma, all of those fraternities, unfortunately, have had a member or had a pledge lose their life during this process. Mm-hmm. The only one that I wasn't able to see was Iota Phi Theta, and they are the youngest of the Divine Nine, Black Greek letter fraternities and sororities. So, Brother Shahid,
yes, sir.
Talk to me. What are some of your? I want you to talk to me first about what are your thoughts, and then I guess we can talk about that for a while. But I want you to go into your book, Thy Kingdom Come, right?
Yes, sir.
And break it down a little more, because I think knowledge is important. In particular, we got to touch people. What are your reactions when you heard this tragedy?
Oh, from the vantage point of one who is coming up on 41 years in Omega Land, as we called it when I came in frat, Kappa chapter, Syracuse University. It's very alarming. It's a sting. The sting is the same as it was when we had these type of incidents among the black frats and sororities back in the 80s and the 70s. I can remember my mother was a guidance counselor at Old Westbury University on Long Island. And there were some incidents that happened out there, Cairo chapter, they were notorious. And I often wondered at that time what that was all about. But I soon learned that the same rough and rugged road that the Marines and boot camp went through, and the Navy SEALs and the Masonic Order, it was a similar rough and rugged road among the black frats. Didn't really understand why at the time that those pledge process looked like a scene out of Sonny Carson's movie. Remember The Education of Sonny Carson?
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember that movie where they take him up on the hill on Fort Greene Park by the bell tower and they initiate him into the warlords and they run him through the gauntlet? You know, they got brothers lined up on either side and he got to make it to the other side without, I guess, getting knocked out. Mm-hmm. And, you know, you at least when you join a gang, you go through, I don't know, a couple of minutes of that, right? But for us, Brother Richard, Brother James, man, to go through weeks of trying times can be challenging. So, you know, in reflecting on this very recent incident that happened on the 27th of February, right after Savior's Day. We were at Savior's Day, I guess, on the heels of this happening. And what is it that, you know, remember, what was the child's name down there in Florida that was lynched while he was carrying
Emmett Till?
Some Jews? No. This is recent.
Not Emmett Till?
Trayvon Martin.
Yeah, Trayvon Martin in Florida.
In Florida.
Yeah, in Florida, yeah.
So he's lynched, and this stuff is still happening. And, you know, we got a case being investigated right now in Georgia with Quadia and Nazir. As a matter of fact, an arrest was made recently. Yeah. You know, you have a sitting person in the WH, and you know what I'm talking about, that pushing, you know, towing the line of the Proud Boys and all of this good stuff. It's a curious thing that's going on, that we're still harming and maiming and desecrating and destroying one another. What is the problem? Why? The question must be asked, why? In our general orders, general number 8, it says, in case of disorder, do what? Give the alarm. Yeah. And there is alarm at the gate, man. Something is going on. Yeah. Among our youth that, and it ain't just among them, because they come from the home, right? So where is this disconnect that they haven't learned the lessons of history that we were supposed to learn? You can't look at them and say, oh, that just came dropped out of the sky, because, you know, we don't believe in a mystery God, right? We know that the dots connect. So that's what we really need to discuss. We got to connect the dots so that we can, as a responsible black man, address it. Because if we fail to address it, that's the problem.
You know, Brother Shahid, you mentioned gang initiation, just a couple minutes of running a gauntlet. And that's expected as part of that initiation, right? We don't expect our children to go to college and end up dead, pledging a venerable organization that has produced great leaders, that has produced great thinkers, that has produced great doers and progressive minds among us. And I think there's always, whenever you have a secret, there's always a mystique with that. I'm coming up on 44 years of being initiated in the Kappa Alpha Psi. So there's always a mystique. There's always, since there's secrets that each group keeps among itself, there's a wonder of what's going on. And you always, like anything, you hear the stories of the old heads or the old brothers or those who came before you, talking about what they endured to get into the fraternity. Now, since the 60s or the 70s, hazing has been outlawed. Right? I think we pledged for like 10 weeks back in the day when my line pledged. And so today, I think in 1990, basically the fraternities and sororities decided that even though they had sanctioned people for hazing, they suspended chapters for hazing, they paid out judgments to fraternities and sororities for hazing, that they did away with the pledge process. And they went to what they called an intake process, where you were, I guess, basically in one day, you were initiated and brought into the organization to try to avoid these things from happening. But I think that mystique, I think, back in the day there used to be this thing about being made right. Yep. Today, I think, though, since you are so far removed. So James, what year were you initiated into Omega?
Well, I crossed in 73, spring of 73.
73. So think about from 73 to 2025. There has not even been a continuous process, right? Because it's been stopped. So even if there was, and I want you to hear me, brothers and sisters, because I'm not justifying anything. But I want you to kind of, if you could walk through this line of thinking. There hasn't been continuity, so there really is no tradition. Listen to me. And there is no tradition. So now what was already a bad thing, in my view, has gotten worse because people are trying to do stuff and they don't know why. They don't know where it came from. They heard from something, from somebody. And the other thing that concerns me, Brother Shahid, is that to have a vulnerable person, this person wants to pledge, he wants to be in Kappa Alpha Psi, right? How is it that I, as a member, don't understand that because this person wants what I have, this person is vulnerable, and I have a duty to protect this person? Lastly, I'm going to close with this. I think the other thing about this is when these young men come to our organizations, when they come to the interviews to see if they're good candidates, when they're accepted, they sign forms saying that they will not participate in hazing and that they will report hazing. So what does it do when you bring a young man in to an organization that's supposed to build his character, and the first thing you have him do is lie? I mean, think about that. So you and with these incidents, brothers and sisters, not only have you had deaths, you have had some people that have had serious mental health repercussions after undergoing this process. And you have some, like back in the day, that have undergone it, and once they've gone through, they have never associated with the fraternity. Right. Never. Right. So in 2025, with all of the hazards that we got, we have to understand that this brutalizing of one another in the name of tradition, in the name of brotherhood, is absolutely wrong.
Yeah.
You don't understand who you are, and you don't understand what you're doing. And lastly, the thing that I love about the Fruit of Islam, and I love the fraternity. It really had a great role in my development. But the thing that I loved about the Fruit of Islam, there is no hazing, because we've been hazed enough as black people in this country, and now we accept the mission.
I tell you this, brother. Where I see this, I mean, when we came online, of course, nowadays, like you were saying, the focus is taken off of the brutality aspect of it, rightfully so. Because one thing that we lacked, even though one of our principles is scholarship, but the way we pledged didn't allow, and this is a generalization, but for the most part, it didn't allow you to kind of excel in scholarship because of all of the other things that you were doing and some of the physical abuse that you were withstanding and going through. So I'm very happy that the scholarship aspect is trying to be brought back in. Secondly, we always had this little tune that we would say that I got a feeling that somebody's trying to slip in the frat.
Sneaking a frat.
It ain't gonna be no blank like that. Blank like that. And so that was because, like you said, the tradition or the process was to make people earn their membership in the frat through going through the toughest that they can go through. It gave license to people. I mean, when I was pledging, they would come from Illinois, from downstate Ohio, from Michigan. Brothers would roll on the yard, as they would say, just to deal with the lamps. And it wasn't dealing with them on a high level. It was a very trying thing. And two more things I would say, though. When I came into the nation, I was very busy at the time dealing with the paper and Brother Wali and traveling with the minister, etc. So I've kind of pulled back from the fraternity in a way, because on the other hand, I saw the nation, as you were saying, Brother Naba, I saw it as a higher level of brotherhood. I saw it like, it was more on a spiritual brotherhood where, for my fans and the people I pledged with, I would go toe to toe for them, and stand with my brothers in the frat as I would today, all of my fans. But in the nation, it seemed like it was a higher level of brotherhood because the love was a higher level, and the spirituality was a higher level. So for a while, I kind of pulled away. I wasn't as active until maybe 10 years later. Then I really got active again with my brothers and sisters, my brothers in the frat. But so for some reason, you just think it's got to be physical. But thank Allah that now they're at least trying to bring it back to where it's focused on development of character, etc. And unfortunately, we're still doing some of this stuff. And the reason is, I guess, like you said, they think it's the tradition, brother.
I really think that what happened is very significant. And before I say what I want to say, I want to make some key points. I looked at the date. It was the 27th. And 2 and 7 is 9. And Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan told us at the Million Man March, he's talking about the number 19, but he said the number 9 is indicative of completion, right? Yeah. And the baby's in the womb for 9 months before it comes forth, right, from darkness. 9 judges sit on Supreme Court. We could go on and on. So it happened on the 27th. It happened in the 9th district of the frat. As a matter of fact, the 9th District Conference is about to begin. So 3 individuals took it upon themselves, because what we must emphasize is that it was an unsanctioned situation. It wasn't an official initiation process. So you know how the news twists stuff. They call it was a fraternity ritual. It was not a fraternity ritual. It was a jump off. It was some individuals that had come through, became members, and they took it upon themselves to do unsanctioned activity. So when we consider the number 9, the fact that it means complete, well, when we have a complete knowledge of ourselves, if we allow ourselves, in Christian language, to be born again, to be made complete, or as the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan said, put on the new man, then we won't function like cavemen.
Right. That's right.
We won't function like Neanderthals, bopping each other over the head with bats or hitting each other in the chest. From what I've read, this child had certain issues with his heart where he didn't need to be hit in certain places. He didn't need to, the excessive. I wasn't there. I'm not a witness. It's hearsay until all the evidence is presented. I'm talking in the legal sense now, right? But what I also want to say, for all of us that are listening, is that we must continue to pray for his family, for his mother, his father, his siblings, all of his loved ones, everybody. This child was talented. He was a mechanical engineer. He's in the band. He was an anomaly. This child was gifted. Why is it that a good person like that is just snuffed, his life is just taken? Well, that light will continue to shine, as it says in the Quran. Those who were slain in the way of Allah, God, they're not dead per se. They live because this child's name, we're talking about him today, tonight. So there is a divine reason for his passage from this earthly plane, right? And what I want to just touch on, because we really don't have time, but when you look at the symbols, the signs and symbols that we respectively represent in Alpha Phi Alpha, Phi Beta Sigma, Kappa Alpha Psi, Omega Psi Phi, Iota Phi Theta, those are signs and symbols that reflect life. So how is it that we don signs and symbols of life, but yet we still, to a certain aspect, because we do great community service and everybody loves to see the Q step and the Kappas do the shimmy and, with the canes and everything. But we fall short in continuing to produce life. Look at the a lamp. This is biblical language. Why would you hide your light under a bushel basket? They call Jesus the light of the world. We're coming up on Easter. Isn't Easter on Sunday?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah. And we know in the Nation of Islam, we walk with the Messiah. Is that right?
That's right.
Come on now. So listen, we have to, in my humble opinion, emphasize scholarship, emphasize humility. And when I say emphasize it, all of us, I don't care how old you are in the frat, all of us need to recommit and go back to school, man. There needs to be a class for every member in every organization to go back and look at the symbols and signs. And this is one of the reasons, the main reason why I wrote my first book, Thy Kingdom Come, Dispelling the Greek Myth and the Black Fraternal System, because I wanted us to go back and look at what we have and examine it and run it by the scriptures, the Bible and the Holy Quran, and, you know, us, those of us in the nation, those burning sands. Why are they burning sands? Don't they relate to Yakub's history? And in the Masonic Lodge, they jumping over the electric mat. You know, the original man rode on camelback and ran Yakub's May Devil over the hot Arabian sands, and it was 2,200 miles from the root of civilization into the caves, hillsides and caves of West Asia. That's not just mythology, man. That's actual fact. And now they trying to run us up out of here. So it's what seems to be happening as this civilization is falling. Certain people are trying to take us with them, and it's only for a lack of knowledge that can happen. So as is said is written in Revelations 14:1, horse is rising, blood is rising to the horse's bridle. We can minimize our blood being in that bloodbath by the re-education and rejuvenation of the strong young black minds among us and the elder minds. Behold, I send you Elijah before that great and dreadful day of the Lord, and he will turn the hearts of the fathers unto the children, and the hearts of the children unto the fathers, lest I smite the earth with a curse. This plague of death from the pale horse is a plague. But it doesn't necessarily have to continue. We can cut a shortage in it.
Brother Shahid, I want to come back to those points. But Brother BJ, we got a couple people holding. We got one holding. I'm sorry. I guess we missed the one, brother, right?
Yes, sir. We missed one, brother. Brother Brown, call back in if you get a chance. But Brother Cliff is holding on right now. You're on straight words, Brother Cliff. Go right ahead, brother.
Assalamu alaikum, brother. Thanks for taking my call. I'll be brief. I myself, thank you. I myself am a member of Omega Psi Phi fraternity. By pledge out of Syracuse University, Kappa Chapter, and then also part of the Mason and Masonic honor. And but I got to say this is that with today's pledge program is pretty much mild to old school, meaning back in the 50s and the 40s. And the whole concept is that these organizations, they wanted to make men out of you. So whether it be physical, psychological, that was the whole concept. So if anybody were to come into the organization, their objective was to make you a man, you know. And so it did get physical, you know, in both, but particularly the cues. The thing was that how the whole concept, how bad did you want to be a part of this organization? Would you go to any extreme to prove to the brothers? They went through it. So the thing is that if you're pledging, then if you really want the organization this bad, then you can go through it. You know, that's the whole concept. And so is it right? You know, no. And I feel bad for what happened, you know, to those individuals and that particular brother. But it does happen. But to even get to your further point, when it comes out to these organizations, brothers, like your guest was saying, this is an offset of pretty much the white organizations. So you got the white Masonic Masons, and then you had the fraternity and sororities and a part of the Boule, you know, which pretty much the upper echelons. Now, here's the problem. The upper echelon of these black fraternities, they're pretty much, and this is the controversial part, they're pretty much mingling and compromising with the powers that be. And that's the problem. So what am I talking about? And I end with this. Can the brothers, man, and sororities and the fraternities do a whole lot more in terms of fighting injustice, getting involved in politics, fighting for the betterment of the black community? Pretty much they should be able to, but really they don't. Because if they did get involved, for somehow there's some pushback coming from the management or the upper administration. You can't get involved in those things. You can't get involved. So they're pretty much safe. And coming from the grassroots community, they are now being ostracized, being that these are some uppity Negroes that don't want to get involved in the grassroots community. You know, these are so-called bourgeoisie Negroes that are educated, but they forget about the grassroots community. They don't want to get involved. You know, so what good are they to the advancement of black people? Do they really care? So that's what we're dealing with right now, brothers. You know what I'm saying? And so much respect to the Nation of Islam. That's different. But the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan has all the secrets, and he's aware of it. So basically what he's saying is that, you uppity Negroes, get back and come back to the community and help out your people. That's what I get. I could be wrong, but I want to share that with you, brothers. But thanks for taking my call.
Thanks for calling. Thanks for calling, Cliff. And I think, brothers and sisters, look. Let's think back to the roots of these organizations and their credos or their mottos, right? Omega Psi Phi, manhood, scholarship, and what's the other one?
Perseverance, uplift.
Perseverance and uplift.
I'm sorry. Perseverance and uplift. Kappa Alpha Psi, achievement in every field of human endeavor. The Phi Beta Sigma, I think their motto is our cause feeds on its way. Mm-hmm. So when you look at some of the founders of Omega Psi Phi, man, these were very heavy dudes. I mean, I don't mean to use that word.
Yeah.
These were brilliant men, though, man. Mm-hmm. These were brilliant men.
Yeah, they were
marine biologists, Professor Ernest E. Jones.
You're talking scientists and people that envisioned the development of black college men as part of the development of our community, man.
Come on.
They weren't just trying to produce an elite that just sat around and did nothing. And when you look at the history of Omega Psi Phi, and you look at so many members and what they've contributed to our people, Kappa Alpha Psi, formed in Bloomington, Indiana, hotbed of racism, where you had the founders of Kappa Alpha Psi came together because they were so oppressed, so depressed, and ostracized that they came together to support one another in order to survive. I'm sure Phi Beta Sigma, I think they were founded at Howard, right? Similar, looking to advance our people. So I understand people talking about the boule and whatever. But at the end of the day, man, once you get the knowledge and once you get them letters, the choice is yours about what you're going to do. The choice is yours about what you're going to do, like any time you get knowledge. So can't nobody pump you in that sense unless you want to be pumped. And like I said, as Cliff said, the frat was so integral to me because before I pledged, wasn't nobody telling me nothing. Okay? I was a straight rebel. Ain't nobody telling me nothing. Seriously. Ain't nobody telling me nothing. So I had to submit to black authority. I had to subliminate some of my desires to achieve the goals of the organization. I'm talking about once I got initiated. I had to understand parliamentary procedure and fraternal law. I had to understand organizing. I had to grow in terms of how do you build a case and state your case with your brothers to present to convince them to pursue one course versus another. How do you stand on the principles and what it represents? So when I came into the FOI, I had some idea what the culture of black male organizations was like. There was no hazing, but I knew I needed to come in, shut up, get to work, build my credibility, and soon I would have a voice. But I understood that there were people that had built something before I got there, and that was to be respected. The other thing was Islam took being a renegade out of me. And I became, man, you talking about, Brother James, you talking about a change. You talking about a rebellious Negro. I mean, even in the frat, the brother used to have to sit me down every now and then. Shorty, you can't do that. You can't cuss everybody out. You can't say this, man, but it's true. Brother, you represent all of us. You're going to have to slow down, Shorty. All right, man, all right. So when I came into the mosque, and it didn't take long, because the leadership is as leadership does. I came in the mosque, brother. I fell in, man, I'm telling you. I fell in love with being an obedient soldier. I fell in love because, as brother was saying, that higher level of knowledge, brother Shahid, that you were talking about, and higher purpose, and I think that's a great idea that you have.
So
to be part of this re-education process.
I want
to share something. I want to share something that before I depart, that the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan shared online when he was still on Facebook, and it is shortly after he was what we call made good in the frat, because we know he pledged in the 50s, and circumstances led to him having to leave school. I mean, that's a whole series of talks that, need to be memorialized, so we have that history set. But when he came in, he immediately started dropping jewels. The one thing that stands out in my mind, he talked about the cross swords on the shield, and it's not a secret, so nobody can get upset about this. Those swords are there, and he started dropping, those perfect jewels that he always drops, and he said it reminds him of the cross that Jesus breaks upon his return. He said that cross that must be broken is the subjugation of the spirit by the flesh. And this is what is destroying our organizations, and not just, the excessive lusting after women and, going to strip club, making it rain. No, it's because we're inverted and we seek to inflict pain instead of depositing the knowledge and wisdom in somebody's brain cells more. We seek to always want to argue with a brother or be jealous of a brother who's successful, or even among the fraternities is the back and forth. Oh man, we better than the alphas or this, that. We must create an interlocking, like they have in the computer field, a firewall around all of our organizations, a protective shield, similar to the restrictive law that's enforced in the mosque in the nation. The mosque is not just the sanctuary. The mosque is wherever we are. So I'm in Omega Psi Phi. That means that the mosque is touching the frat. You're in Kappa Alpha Psi. That means that, you're touching your frat. And so the more we shine our light and remain active in our organizations, because this is what the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan asked us to do when he came into Omega Psi Phi. He said, y'all, I want you to be financial, but not just financial and paying dues. I want you to be active, because when we activate in our respective organizations, we will help preserve and uplift our organizations. If we fail to do that, that blood is on our hands. Because we're responsible, because we understand the assignment. We know what a civilized man is, and we know what his duty is. And we know who God is. Some of these, you got your 85% who are easily led in the wrong direction and hard to lead in the right direction. They eat the wrong foods mentally, spiritually, physically. You have the bloodsuckers among us. There are always three. 85%, 10%, and 5%. In my final words, in the Masonic ritual, Jubella, Jubellum, and Jubello attacked Hiram Abiff at high noon as he was working on Solomon's temple. Caleb Wilson was. 3 individuals have been arrested. Do you think that's a coincidence?
Okay.
Masons who are listening, go on back and study your ritual. 3 ruffians attacked Hiram Abiff. And then they tried to resurrect him.
Yes,
and from what the reports are saying, they moved this child's body from one. I mean, there's so much in all of this. But if we work together, and we have to work together because we're already under attack, man.
That's right.
So an hour ain't going to do this justice, but I thank y'all. And please, listeners, support this program. Let's pool our resources. I know I'm going to send some more money. As soon as I get a chance tomorrow, it's on the way.
Praise be to Allah.
Come on now. Thank you for what y'all do for the Final Call. Please, listeners, support the Final Call newspaper. Please support the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and the Nation of Islam.
Okay.
Islam. Brother, we have one more. We have Sister Anita been holding on for a minute. She wanted to get in the conversation as we close out this hour. Sister Anita, you're on Straight Words. Go right ahead on WVON.
Hey, good evening, late evening. If you look at the white man, he's in like a daze or a fantasy that the black man can manage the earth, but the black man is supposed to take care of another man. That can't happen like that. That's not in the order of God. And Jesus told them that they could come to the right learning and understanding and create a new mind where they understood brotherhood, love thy neighbor as you love yourself, right? They haven't come into that. They're primitive. We can't work with their authority or their leadership. Black men have held the world up for everyone and forgiven much, like Jesus said. But Islam is going to show you that if people don't want to follow Jesus after they've been forgiven, you see what's happening. They'll just slaughter and massacre you because they'll never, purify themselves. So something serious has to be done on the earth with all men. And then there's men that's on this carnal level of having a woman that she's just something to have babies by. Elijah Muhammad wasn't like that. He believed in civilized people. Some of these people are still on that carnal level. I see a woman, she's cute, I have a baby, and I get to tell her what to do, and then they never develop her brain, her moral character, nothing. And we've got to deal with all of this on our own as God's elect on this earth. And it has nothing to do with our people being anything but wanting to serve God or not wanting to serve God. And white men have to stop believing that black men can take care of them. You have to, every tub is on its own bottom. They have to repent or whatever. They need to listen to Christ and, change their thinking. And if they don't, I can't treat them as my friend.
Yes, ma'am.
I might love them, but I can't treat them as my friend. They're destructive. They become animal-like and less than animal.
Yeah.
Good point.
Thank you, Sister Anita. Thank you so much. So, Brother Shahid.
Yes.
No, I was just telling Brother Shahid, tell everybody how they can further dialogue with you, brother. You got social media handles or some contact information people can grab you?
Yes. My Instagram is Shizzareign. It's just SHZAREIGN. Shizzareign. It's the best way to get to me on social media because, you can inbox me. I take messages and, for those who want to email me, My Gmail email is shizzareign@gmail.com, SHZAREIGN@gmail.com. Look for the republishing soon, very soon, within a month's time. Thy Kingdom Come, the Spell in the Greek Myth in the Black Fraternal System, and take a second look, the one on the sororities. Look for both of those revised versions, because Amazon and Alibris and Japan Zone, all them, they are pimping the used copies, selling them for $100, $200. I've seen them sold for as much as $300. I'll be re-releasing those. I'm available for a lecture circuit. I've been doing that for decades, and still doing that, still available. Also available for panel discussions and things of that nature. I want to thank you all once again for having me on your program, and let's continue this dialogue, please. It's needed. It's needed.
Yeah, I definitely, brother Shahid. When you re-release the books, we got to bring you back because I think that will help us get into some of that higher level of knowledge you were talking about. And I think you're right. I think your idea of all of us going back to class and getting reinvigorated with the frats is incredible. Thank you, my brother. Assalamu alaikum.
Thank you. Wa alaikum salam.
Assalamu alaikum.
Yes, sir.
Right.
I'm still mad with y'all, brothers in the fraternities. They told me I was too short to be a Q dog, brother.
Oh man, all the Q's is short. The Q's is short, man. The Q's is your height, BJ.
That's right, man. All right, brothers and sisters. I hope y'all enjoyed this past hour, brothers and sisters. Go to our website, straightwords.com. If you missed the great conversation we had with Brother Shahid, you could go to the website later this week. You'll be able to replay that on our website. We got all the shows logged in so you can catch past episodes on straightwords.com. Straightwords.com. Brothers and sisters, coming up next hour, Brian E. Muhammad. We're going to talk about global affairs right here on Straight Words. But before you go to bed tonight, you got to, open up that golden purse or that golden wallet. You're going to lay it on the dresser. And you say, hold on. I can't go to bed yet. I gotta make a donation to Straight Words to keep this show on.
Keep on that.
Go to straightwords.com, straightwords.com, and you'll see all the ways that you can donate to our program and keep it going, because we love you, brothers. Just like Brother Talib said earlier, you can't talk love, you got to show love. And show your love for this show. Show your love for Brother Naba'a Richard Muhammad, Brother James G., Brother BJ, and all of our guests that have been on this show that have shown their love, worn their heart on their sleeves to give you this for the sake of love and support of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad on the radio every week. That's powerful, brothers and sisters, especially in the hour that we living in. So support us, and we pray that we have earned your support right here on WVON. Coming up next hour, we got more on Straight Words. WVON 1690, the talk of Chicago.